Good morning, Stampers. Welcome to Connect to Create. I am Pat Fairless from Fairless Stamp and Flair. And Connect to Create, if you haven't joined us before, is a collaboration between myself and a good friend and fellow demonstrator, Kathy Ondas. And each week we bring you a video showing either a technique or a tip or trick to help make your stamping a little bit more fun and just to help you learn something. We like to learn here at Connect to Create. So I hope you enjoy these videos. If you do, hit subscribe and like whatever it is we have to do so that we can grow our channels and continue to bring you more videos. Today I have a really fun technique that I'm going to show you. This is a lot of fun. You never know how it's going to turn out until it's done. But it's called ink blowing. And so let's go ahead and get started. I'll show you the technique first, and then I'll show you a couple cards that I made using the technique. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. The supplies that you need for this particular technique are very, very few. You need a straw to blow through, and you need re-inkers. And you can basically use any type of cardstock you want to use. I like to use shimmery white because it has a little bit smoother with a harder finish on it, absorbs moisture a little less, so it gives you a little more chance to blow it around. Blow the ink around, not the cardstock. But you can also use your basic white or a very vanilla. You'll just have to act maybe a little bit faster and blow a little bit harder. Another paper I tried this time, I used the pearlescent just as an experiment, and I'll show you a card that I made with that, but I'm not going to do that today, and I'll tell you why later. So the colors I'm going to use are Bermuda Bay, Smoky Slate, Rich Razzleberry, and Daffodil Delight. So let's go ahead and get started. Let's start with, doesn't matter which one we start with. Let's just start with Bermuda Bay. It's probably the easiest to see, although most of them are. The Rich Razzleberry will also be very easy to see. And what you do is you just take your re-inker. I like to shake it up a little bit. I don't know why, just my habit, I guess. And you're going to drop one drop on your cardstock, and then you're going to take your straw and you're going to blow on that ink drop. And you don't want it to sit here too long before you start blowing, so I'm going to get ready to blow. I am probably not going to be able to blow down directly. I will try, but it's directly under my camera, so then my head's going to be in the way. And you do want your straw to be fairly close to your cardstock, so you get the air on the ink. So I'm probably going to have to blow more at an angle because of the camera here. But if you blow straight down, obviously you can imagine the ink's going to go in all directions. So I think it's apparent whatever direction you blow the air in, the ink's going to go in that direction. I do recommend you also have a piece of paper towel handy. The reason is not really so much for the ink, because you're going to blow it till it's dry and it stops moving. But in case you blow a little hard and get some excess moisture in your straw, called spit, you may get moisture drops on your cardstock. And if that happens and the ink hits those, it's like anything else with water-based ink, it will run. So if you get too much, try not to get moisture in your straw, but if you do, it's not really a big deal. It still looks pretty and it's fun. So let me go ahead and show you the first one. Sometimes it's helpful to pick up the cardstock so you can aim it, especially when you got a camera up here kind of in your way. So that's my Bermuda Bay. Now I like to switch from one color to another, and we may come back to another color Because I am blowing at an angle, I'm going to turn my card a little bit so it goes in a different direction. And you can see if the ink is still wet, and then you can continue blowing at that area until it appears dry, is what I like to do. So get this one out of the way, and let's bring in another color. This time I'm using Smoky Slate, and I'm just going to kind of put it right here. I hope my head's not getting totally in the camera. Here you can see I got a little extra moisture, so I'm just going to dab that up a little bit. And now let's blow some Daffodil Delight down into these colors. See how it'll keep moving as long as there's still a moisture drop there. I'm going to add a little yellow down here in this corner. That's a pretty good one. I think the next one I'm going to do, I'm going to put Bermuda Bay here, and I'm going to pick it up a bit and see if I can show you what happens as I try to blow down directly. So obviously I can't talk when I have the straw in my mouth. So, but that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put a drop here, and then I'm going to pick it up and try to blow down directly so you can see what happens when you do it that way. This is not, I'll be honest, this is not the easiest technique to do when you can't get directly over it. But we can turn it and pass it around. I do have bendy straws, so I'm going to try that this time. I'll bend my straw and then try to get a little bit more straight down. I think I need some rich raspberry over here, so let's put a dot here. And what do I need down here in this corner? Maybe a little bit more Bermuda Bay down here. And then I think I'm going to add just a bit of yellow down here. Okay, and I'm going to call that good. You don't want it covered fully. Kind of looks like lots of spiders. Now, what I didn't mention is I usually do start out with a bit of a larger piece of cardstock than what I want to end up with, so that I can get my ink things over out of my way so I don't drop them off. I do have ink on my hand. I start out with a bit larger than I intend to end up with, because maybe I don't like this section so much. Maybe I really like how this piece turned out. Then I can trim it to whatever I want. And keep your scraps. I can always go back and fill in if I want to make a strip here, for example, to go along the inside of my card. And this is looking a little bland with just Daffodil Delight, Rich Raspberry. I may need some Smoky Slate or some Bermuda Bay down here. You can always go back and add it. But I'm going to see. And on the shimmery paper, you do get shimmer and shine just from the paper too. So what do you think? Isn't that kind of a cool technique for backgrounds? It's really easy. It's really fun. So now let me show you the cards I made. The first card that I made using these colors was on shimmery white, and I used the Elephant Parade bundle. And in this case, I just die cut a circle out of my prepared technique piece. And then you can see on the envelope here, I had some leftover scraps, so I just made a few flags, cut them, and put them on the lower corner of my envelope. And I laid it out in 3 circles. And then on the inside, I did have a strip that was left along the side after I cut I had lots of scraps because obviously if I start out with 1/4 of a sheet, which is 5.5 by 4 1/4, and I only cut the circle, I've got lots of scraps left for this one. So I added just a bit of trim here. So that was my first card using the ink blowing technique. And my second card that I mentioned, I used the pearlescent paper. I experimented with that. I had not used it before. This is beautiful paper. I don't know if you've seen it in the catalog. It's in the annual catalog. It is here on page 139, pearlescent 12 by 12, $4 for 2 sheets. And both sides are pearlized. I think you can probably get a sense of the shimmer that it gives. It's lighter weight than shimmery white cardstock, and it's also a little bit creamier color. I'd almost call it like a winter white. It is really pretty. So I wanted to experiment with that, and this is the card I made. I used the same colors as the previous card, and you can see how it shines. Now, I didn't want to cover this one up because I really liked how this background piece turned out, but I will say that in the case of the shimmery white, this piece is already dry and you can use it. It dries quickly. This takes a while to dry. I used my heat tool to try to speed it along, but ultimately I had to let it dry overnight. You can also see that it's probably get a little bit finer lines with this one, but it's just another experiment with that piece of kind of paper. And then my third card I'm going to show you, I used our current in colors. I used Starry Sky, Orchid Oasis, and Parakeet Party. And then this is a sneak peek card of the Love Cats stamp set from the mini that comes January 5th. So you're getting a little sneak peek of that. It's super cute. If you're a cat lover, you will love the stamp set. I'm not necessarily a cat lover, but I love the stamp set. They were just so cute. And this one's hanging here on his clothesline and says, I love hanging out with you. But you can see the background again. Most of it's covered, but it does make just a nice little accent. And it's fun to do. So I hope you will give it a try. Let me flip back my camera over here. So those are the cards I was going to share and the technique I wanted to show you today. It's called ink blowing, and you just need a straw and some reinkers and cardstock. So experiment, mix and match the colors as you would like. Pick your favorite colors and give it a try. And then cut it up and use it however you see fit. So this is my last Connect to Create video for this year of 2022. I cannot believe that the year is almost over. It has flown by. It's been a good year. I've made new friends. I've learned a lot, and I hope that all of you have a very, very Merry Christmas, and I will see you next year. Kathy will be back next week with another video.